a simple life, something out those aches and pains from working on the farm.
Hey guys, it's Eric here at Farpoint Farms in the mountains, North Carolina. Tonight, part 5, we're going to be installing the Johnny Bucket Digs It, and I love it. This is all new and it is pretty stout. In fact, I think it's the heaviest part on this tractor, single piece of metal anyway. Huge replaceable teeth, which is really cool. You can get this back bar and just replace it without having to replace the entire unit. And installation on this is not all that complex, so stick around. I'll get the camera closer in here and I'll walk you through it. All right, installing the Installing this ripper bar is a little different. We're actually going to kind of slide it in. The instructions say that if necessary, you could tap it in with a hammer, but apparently in my case, that's not necessary. Now we do have larger nuts and bolts for this, and it's kind of interesting. The washers actually go on this side if needed. I'll show you here in a second. Sometimes that washer there would be touching the corner here, so they gave a smaller washer as well. It doesn't matter what location you put it in, as long as it gets in there, then the setup will be happy. Alright, once you've got both those started, it's just a matter of tightening them up with your 19mm wrench and ratchet, or 3/4 will also work. It's really simple to install this, just the 2 bolts. And so you want to know what the Johnny Bucket ripper bar or the Johnny Bucket tooth bar is going to do for you. By the way, I love the laser etched Johnny Bucket Digs It. Well, let me tell you what it can do. So what you can do with this is what's called ground engaging. If you had a mound you needed to level out, you could use these to dig into the soil. Where the flat blade, like the original blade that's here, it's great at scooping up stuff like mulch, or if you had a load of gravel dumped or a load of topsoil dumped in your property and you needed to move that gravel around, which I intend to use this for, a flat blade is going to be fine. But if you want to dig into earth, if you're trying to get through grass or trying to get through thickets, stuff like that, you're going to need to use these. And that's why I call them a ripper bar, because it rips the soil, but it's actually called a tooth bar. And again, these little pieces here are replaceable, which is kind of neat. One thing to know, if you're going to attempt to dig a mountain out, like let's say you wanted to dig into the side of a hill and put a carport or something like that in there. You could use this for something like that, but you're going to have to do some of those upgrades I talked about in part 1. You're going to be looking at maybe getting some ag tires, or at the very least some weights and some chains to go with it. Because oftentimes when you drive this into a pile or drive it into something hard like packed clay earth, well, the tires are just going to spin. It won't have the bite to dig in. If you can get enough traction, this will certainly dig in. Now remember, when using this, that the Johnny Bucket is not designed to be smashed into things. You're not supposed to get a running start into stuff. So if you do that, you're likely to damage either the bucket or possibly your tractor. So try not to overdo it. And remember that load capacity hasn't changed as far as weight capacity. You can only put so much weight into this thing. Having the ability to scoop up large amounts of earth doesn't necessarily mean that the tractor or the Johnny Bucket is going to be able to handle that much weight, especially wet dirt. I guess that'll do it for tonight. Next time, part 6, nearly the end of the assembly, we're going to install the brackets that give us, they're called forks, and while they're not like pallet forks, what they are is a great way to be able to haul dimensional lumber around the property, or even limbs, stuff like that. You're limited here with the amount of stuff you can put sideways, But if you put these stakes in, you can run stuff this way, and I love the idea of having that because I have a whole bunch of lumber down at the bottom barn, and I'm doing a bunch of building projects up here, and so I'm constantly having to go back and forth, and to do so requires getting the pickup truck out and moving stuff around that way. So this will save me time with that. I'll see you next time, my friends.